right, welcome to Cafe Chronicles. Tonight we have the great James O'Donnell. Welcome, James.
Thank you.
How are
Thanks
you
for
doing
inviting
tonight?
me.
Yeah,
Good to see
absolutely.
you, Ted. Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
good. Yeah, thanks for
Always.
doing this. Thanks for
Hey,
doing this.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
So, Cafe Chronicles, we talk about Aretha's Jazz Cafe
Hmm.
and either something that's happened to you at the cafe, be it a performance that you had or a performance that you've seen, or something that's happened to you here, hanging out with someone, and is there anything that comes to mind?
Oh, a few things. I mean, I can remember being in the audience, seeing a few different bands um, playing, like oh, some of the big bands that we played and we in years ago. But um, I started out back with Bonton Relay here, and back in the '90s or 2000s, and then basically the Planet D Nonet uh, was a few different times we played here,
Hmm?
and I don't know if the Bob Hopkins Orchestra played here. I'm not sure. Not it was years ago, maybe not, but yeah, I remember those times with the Planet D Nonet, and we're a somewhat larger ensemble and 10 people, and we had a really few different good shows
Yeah.
here, and with my band Tough Talk, which is really taking off. And we've had some good shows here with Tough Talk, and so this is actually our second vinyl release. First one was a
Yeah.
CD release, and this is our vinyl release.
All right.
And yeah,
Yeah. Well, let's get right to that then.
yeah.
Tough Talk tonight. It's a vinyl release party for it. Tough Talk. James O'Donnell. Um, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. You got Jallo,
Ciao,
Chakotay,
Jacate.
Kurt Cranky, Alvin Page, Michael Zaporsky.
Mm-hmm.
Um, fantastic. You got R.J. Spangler on it.
And percussions and congas. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
He's the
yeah.
executive producer of it. And,
Oh, okay.
for East Lawn Records, and
Yeah,
that's his
sure.
record
Familiar.
label.
All
And,
right. And you got the whole Planet Teen on it too, huh?
on a few cuts, we actually made a CD with the Planet D Nonet. It's called Echoes of Harlem,
Hmm.
but we had too much material for that CD. Couldn't put
Good
it all
problem
on
to
there.
have.
So yeah, so we took two of my songs that I sang with the Planet D, and we put it on this CD, this recording. Um, Archie just said, "Let's go in there and play some of your stuff from Tough Talk," and we laid down like 7 tracks in one day, and then we had the other 2 tracks already in the can, so we had 9 tracks altogether, and it came out great,
Okay.
and it was very cost efficient.
Yeah.
We weren't there, taking too much time. One day we recorded all those songs, and then we mixed one day, and then it was done. And it
That's
was
great.
yeah,
That's a sign of a tight outfit right there.
yeah. And the musicians involved, we just got together and had fun. Let's just go and for the afternoon, spent like 5 hours, and boom, we did a few takes on each one of them. There was maybe 1 or 2 that maybe was just one take, but
Yeah.
sometimes you have to go 2 or 3 takes to get the one that you want.
Okay. You want to talk about the title, Tough Talk? Where
Tough
that comes
Talk.
from?
Yeah, that's a Jazz Crusaders tune, Tough Talk, and it's a great tune. I've played it for years, and I always wanted to record it, and I thought it would make a great title track tune, and that's why we named it Tough Talk.
Yeah.
And I had it arranged differently than what is on the original recording, because they actually had like a Farfisa type keyboard playing, and it was a different sound, and so we had it arranged by Ryan Bills, who arranged the horn parts for us and made it into like a 3-horn arrangement, and so it was really it sounds really great. It's a great dance tune, upbeat. It's a great,
Okay. Were they
tune.
a big influence on you, the Crusaders?
Yeah, well, we played Jazz Crusaders stuff. We were growing up, in the '70s, and when I was coming up in the '70s, and 1978, I was 18 and had my own band around town out of high school,
Yeah.
and we did stuff like that and,
Okay.
and different jazz type tunes. And
Who were some of your big influences
well,
that might come out in your playing? Do you think?
well, I think Louis Armstrong is one of
Yeah.
the first, and
You take a little vocal
and I do a little
with that.
vocal
Yeah.
with the Louis, and I just love doing that and kind of evoking the spirit, and then I'd say Miles Davis. I've always loved Miles Davis and try to play some of that stuff, and um, I love the you know Dizzy Gillespie and Lee Morgan and Kenny Durham and all the different great trumpet players, and even the modern day ones, and Wynton Marsalis and Terrence Blanchard and the different ones that are players that are out there even now, the younger players. There's so many great players, but my roots goes back to like the swing style type of playing,
Okay.
and the early bands of like the 30s and 40s, the big bands and stuff like that.
So
Early,
that's what really
yeah,
is.
Cootie Williams and Charlie Shavers, and I like the bebop Fats Navarro's type stuff, and that whole thing.
So you're trying to carry that.
Yeah.
Roots
But my,
today.
my initially the Louis Armstrong is what I really love in playing pretty melodies and
Yeah.
swinging.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, in doing a little research on you, I came across something called the Costello embouchure technique.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
talk about
yeah.
that a
The
little
Dr.
bit?
Costello
Yeah.
method. That's something that was back in the, like the 30s and 40s, and in New York, and the cats were coming up, and they would go and take a lesson from Dr. Costello, and Dr. Costello would write out the lesson. Like every lesson, he'd take a manuscript piece of paper and he'd write a lesson out, and then you'd take that home and you'd learn that lesson. Then you'd come back and he'd write out another one for you. And the cats, that's what they did, and they learned but the way to play the trumpet the right way through, with the lip flexibility and the air flow, and how to play into the horn and not blow your head off. It's all about air and just playing the instrument, how it's developed, how the trumpet is made, and by learning the characteristics of the trumpet, he taught that the lip trills and the slurs and how to play the different scales and staccato. And
So
he,
is it a technique that you can hear, or is it a technique of how to learn the
it's
trumpet?
it's a technique of playing and how to be a trumpet player and be able to play all around trumpet, to be able to how to be a professional
Okay.
trumpet player
Gotcha.
and be able to play it all. And but it definitely is something that started way back when, like say, my mentor Russell Green, he studied with Dr. Costello,
Okay.
and he was in Jimmy Lunsford's orchestra back in the 30s, 1933, and he came up with the big bands, and he lived here in Detroit in his later years, and he worked at the Flame Show Bar for
Oh,
quite
sure.
a few
Sure.
years, 9 years or so, and he was the one that I met when I was like 22 years old, and he turned me around on the trumpet and said, "I'm a doctor of the lip, and I think I can help you out." And
Doctor of the lip.
yeah, and so I would go over to his
Love it.
house over on Prentice Street there, and I'd go into his house and we'd hang out like Saturday mornings. You get there and around 11 o'clock, and then 1 o'clock we'd be like cooking some food, spaghetti or whatever and we just hang out and talk
Huh.
music, and he talked about the way he hustled in the early days and
Yeah.
hustled in Detroit, and he had a lot of different games going on. He was quite the guy, and a great player. I mean, he was a lot of people didn't really know of him, but the cats knew of Russell Green, and when Johnny Carson said to his trumpet player, Snooky Young, he said, "Snooky, who is the greatest trumpet player in America, and he says, "Well, the greatest trumpet player was Russell Green," and he mentioned Russell Green to Johnny Ed Carson. That was pretty
Oh,
crazy,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Russ, he taught me a lot of different things about how to play the horn, and he said, "I'll teach you how to play the horn for the rest of your life. When you're an old man, you can still play,
Uh-huh.
but these people out here want to blow all these high notes and beat their lip. You can only beat it so much; it just becomes chopped liver." He goes, you can always find a fool to play those high notes, but I'll teach you how to play the trumpet for your
Yeah.
lifetime. And
That's
what
got
he
to be
did.
a feat in itself, taking
Oh,
care of your lips with the trumpet.
well, yeah, it's like, depending on
I've
what you
never.
do, it's specialized work. Sometimes players that are in these big bands and playing in these, you know, lead trumpets and stuff like that, it looks like there's like a lot of pressure, but when they're playing, but they get calloused lips, and it can really be
Yeah.
hard on your lip.
Yeah, because my first instrument was alto saxophone. So I remember my mouth hurting
Uh-huh.
after playing for so long.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've never attempted the trumpet, but I can only imagine.
Well, yeah, you get tired, and the
Yeah.
lips get tired, and you gotta have that blood flow has to go through
The,
your lips to be able to produce a
yeah,
vibration
the
in the
embouchure, right? The
trumpet,
way
the
you.
embouchure. Yeah,
Yeah.
the vibration is what you need for for the air to go into the
Yeah.
horn, and that'll produce the
Is that what
sound.
embouchure means? The
Well, the
vibration of your
embouchure
lips?
is your umbilical muscles and everything. It's just they call it your embouchure.
The way you form your lips around the instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's the muscles and everything in your lips
Okay.
that's your embouchure. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you get it over the years. You get some lines in it that show up from playing
Huh.
that mouthpiece.
Yeah.
And but yeah, there's so many great. We have so many great trumpet players that have come out of Detroit and that are in Detroit, world class trumpet players.
Yeah.
That are
Name a
out
few.
there. Well, I mean, some of the guys that are out there, like the special, I'd say, world class, like Walter White, and there's Patrick Hessian, and there's other people that are out there playing on the circuit, playing the shows, and that's what they do. And then we have, I mean, we had Marcus Belgrave for many years here in Detroit. That was our daddy of the trumpet,
Yep.
and so there were a lot of older cats that are now gone, but here in Detroit we have all kinds of young guys with Dwight Adams and Charlie Miller from the Planet D Nonet. Charlie's my partner. He's just like he's a great player, and all kinds of different jazz players in town that are really doing it. John Douglas, another guy.
Sure.
He plays here.
Sure.
John Douglas. You can see here. You can see different bands that he's been with, and things go way back to the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s, and now there's all kinds of you know um, people out there that are coming up, and they're studying at Michigan State or Wayne State or Michigan University. But a lot of great players coming out of Wayne State and Michigan State. It's
Yeah.
really have great teachers.
Detroit's a
there.
great music city.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of great players.
Sure are. There's a lot of players.
Yeah, a lot of innovation too.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And you can go around town and see all these young guys playing these different places. Like here at Aretha's, you have jam sessions with Scott Quinnell
Yeah,
leading
Sunday
the jam
nights at
sessions,
7. Yeah.
and different other bands that play here, and it's just like the vocalists are out there, and it's it's really nice to go out and see so much talent, and they're young. They're all like in their 20s
Yeah.
and early 30s, and really playing. I mean, the real good jazz. Anthony Stanko. I mean,
Sure.
and they go on teaching. These guys get their degrees and they go out and teaching in the different schools. And Rodney Whitaker, who led the program there at Michigan State, and we have what's his name, Collins at Wayne State.
Chris Collins.
Chris Collins, And
He's director of the Jazz Festival.
yeah, and Russ Miller, he was over there at Wayne State. He's now retired from Wayne State. But there's been so many great musicians out there that we've had in town that we could just, like younger players, could come up and see the older guys playing, and now those young guys are up and they're seeing older guys like myself and R.J. Spangler and my buddy T-Bone Paxton, from the Planet D Nonet, and we're out there doing it. The guys in the band, Michael Zaporski, pianist, and Kurt Kroenke, our bassist, and Jalo Jacate, our drummer. Phenomenal players. Each one of those guys are just like masters in their own right, and we have Alvin Page on tenor and baritone, and he's at in Michigan State right now, and he is just he's like 22 or 23, and he's just playing nice young lion.
That's fantastic.
It's really amazing.
Yeah. I love seeing that.
And I love playing with him, and
Kids,
so it's nice to have him in the band. Tonight we have Alex Callista. He's another young man that is just plays his horns, his alto and his tenor and his clarinet, but he plays in Planet D Nonet and plays with Ralph Armstrong and different bands, and so we have a good band tonight. Alvin couldn't be here because of school obligations, but Alex is stepping right in.
That's great.
He's my go-to
That's
guy.
what we do in Detroit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But when you have guys that are keeping it alive, and these young guys want to have jam sessions, and Parts and Labor is a big jam session out in Melvindale.
I've heard.
And everybody's going in there, and some of the older guys like Dwight Adams or Steve Wood, he goes there, or Wendell Harrison, they go and sit in there, or they're featured the night of the jam session or whatever. Jeff Pedras, great bassist, he's got his night there that and it's great because he puts it online, what songs we're going to play, go home, woodshed these songs, come to the gig and play one or two or three of them. You can have a pick, but he gives it it's like a learning experience for the younger people to come on up, and that's what they're doing.
That's great. I love seeing that because I see that a lot, like the kids that come to Scott Quinnell's jam session on Sundays.
Yeah.
And over the years, I just see them grow.
Yeah.
And then I see them start leading their own bands, and it's just.
Well, you got to pass it along, and keep it alive, keep it going. And Detroit's always been at the forefront of just the cats, cats coming out of Detroit, and in New York, that's what they know. People in New York, they know that cats are playing in Detroit, and when they come to Detroit, they know they better play because the Detroit Cats can play, and I've seen it time and time again in the jazz festivals. From the Montreux Detroit Jazz Festival to the Ford Festival. The Jazz Festival now. It's like it's been great all these years. And I've played many a times at the Detroit Jazz Fest, and when it was the Montreux Detroit Jazz Fest, and hopefully I'll get and play there next. Few years or something. I don't know, not this year coming, but maybe the following year. And it's been a couple of years, but they have a huge rotation, and since Gretchen Valade, kind of like took over and saved the jazz festival. She really was
huge
the friend to all the jazz people here, and that's for sure. And God bless her, she passed away, and we play at the Dirty Dog, which I'll be playing with Tough Talk there June 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Okay. I was going to ask
Dirty
you
Dog.
when. Okay.
Yeah, and looking forward to that. That'll be my debut with my band, the James O'Donnell Band.
Okay.
Tough
What about
Talk.
Planet D? Where are you playing next with
Planet D Nonet just played a couple of weeks ago. We did a 3-day stint at the Dirty Dog.
Okay.
We have our, last Sunday of the month at the Cadieux Cafe from 4 to 7. We always play there, which is a great place to come see the band. And we have different other shows that we do. And then we even play like senior citizens' homes, different things like that. We're coming up Cliff Bells in April. We're going to be doing Cliff Bells. I think it's the 11th 12th, 13th, 14th.
Okay.
Something like that.
Do you play with anyone else? Like.
Well, I have this band, the Tough Talk band, and the Planet D Nonet band. And
What I
then,
mean with like, do you sit like
well,
fill in, or do you like?
I sometimes, am maybe subbing for somebody,
calls,
but
yeah.
not a lot. I have so much work with myself. I have my James O'Donnell band. It is a trio, usually piano, bass, and trumpet. So like Michael Zaporsky and Kurt Kroenke and I, we play a lot at Fishbones in St. Clair Shores or Fishbones downtown, or we're playing tomorrow night at the Brine Oyster House in Grosse Pointe.
Yep.
And that's a nice place. And we get there maybe about twice a month. And then I have another band that I put together with buddy Rick Steiger and Jalo and George Friend and Rocco Popularski, and it's called the Eastside Rhythm Rascals.
Oh, it's a great
And that's
name.
a fun band, and we're going.
Sounds like it.
We play the Brine Oyster House, and we play Caju Cafe just a few times a year. Which but it's a great band to have some fun and play different stuff.
All right, excellent.
So,
well, hey man, thank you very much for doing this.
yeah, I appreciate it.
So Tough Talk. Where can people purchase this?
Well, they can go to bandcamp.com and get Tough Talk. You can hear it if you want to listen to some of the tracks there on Bandcamp. You can get it on Amazon, and you can get it on
iTunes.
iTunes. You can get it at rjspangler.com on his site.
I'm just looking at the back of this. I see R.J. Spangler wrote the
credits.
the liner notes.
Yeah, he did a
That's
great
great.
job, and he sounded great on the congas and the percussion, and he's part of this band, but he's so busy, so I can't really go around with the 6-piece band because he's already working, as he's working tonight over at the Savoy.
Okay.
And but he RJ gets around with his band with John Paxton and him and those guys, Trevor Lamb on bass and Sean Perlmutter on drums and Matt LaRusso on guitar, and those guys play anywhere within a 5-hour radius, driving distance. They're
doing it. They're doing it.
We got to go to Kentucky, or we got to go to Bowling Green, Ohio, or we have to go up north.
That's what
Harbor
music does to you,
Springs,
man. That's what music does to you.
That's what road warriors, man, gig warriors. They like doing it, and RJ loves it, and the young guys that he takes along with him, they love it.
Yeah.
We have our Scully tour with the Planet D Nonet coming up in June, on the 21st of June through the 28th, and that's on the west side of Michigan. We play like 8 different parks, and we play like in gazebos.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and this man Tim Scully is the promoter of the whole concert series, and he's made it happen for the past 25 plus years. He's been doing it. And he brings bands from all the surrounding states. But we've played there at least 14, 15 times. I can't count it how many more. I mean, it's now been. But the whole band goes and lives in a house in the middle of the woods outside of Berwyn. And
that sounds like fun.
Baldwin, not Berwyn, Baldwin, and Baldwin, Michigan there, and that is a lot of fun. And the band, we all live in his house for the week, and then hit all the different little parks every evening.
All right, excellent. So, Tough Talk available on vinyl as well as CD and digital.
Yes.
Okay, so. All right, James O'Donnell, thank you very
so
much for
I
doing this.
Appreciate having me on. Thank
All
you.
right,
And
thank
we'll
you.
go downstairs and play our little vinyl release party. And
Absolutely.
And
Looking forward
hopefully
to it.
the people will come on out. If you're hearing this, come on out.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.